Welcome back to FinTech TV's The Daily Download. Time now for a big story breakdown. The City of Angels could be the largest U.S. city to support the global plant-based treaty. It aims to address several issues, most notably to stop the degradation of critical ecosystems caused by animal agriculture and to promote a shift to more healthy, sustainable plant-based diets. A number of people have been endorsing the plant-based treaty. Recently, the LA City Council voted unanimously to endorse it. Now the matter heads to Mayor Garcetti's desk. Joining us today is Elysabeth Alfano, CEO of FINTECH and FinTech TV contributor. Good morning, Elysabeth. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Well, first of all, can you give us an overview of the plant-based treaty and tell us which cities have signed on so far?
Yes, so the plant-based treaty is really pressuring world leaders to accept this as a treaty that works with the Paris Climate Agreement. The Paris Climate Agreement from 2015 had world leaders and governments signing on to reduce the impact on the climate through reducing fossil fuels, but it didn't address animal agriculture. The UN's IPCC scientists say you will not sufficiently impact climate change if you don't address animal agriculture, because animal agriculture is responsible for about a third of the world's global emissions of methane. Methane being the most nefarious of the gases, but also being the gas with the shortest shelf life. So it's the lever that really can move the needle for climate change in a short period of time. So the city of Los Angeles signed on historically last week, which is just so exciting. But more of note is perhaps the first major city that signed on, which was Buenos Aires. Now, Argentina, known for its big meat consumption, so it's very interesting to see who is getting on board.
Elizabeth, that is very interesting. I'm curious to know, how much support does this treaty have?
Quite a bit. So 1,800 NGOs and businesses around the globe. It has these two major cities, but 17 other smaller cities. It has 5 Nobel laureates and 60,000 signatures from concerned citizens. And it also has several IPCC scientists. So we all know that government is never the one to move the needle. It's always a grassroots endeavor. And to see so many people signing the treaty, I think is very interesting. Really what it aims to do is, I think their fear here is that big meat is going to take the playbook of big tobacco, and that it's going to force governments and, as big tobacco did, doctors, in that case, to say, oh, hey, smoking is okay. And I think they're afraid that the consumer is getting mixed messages from big meat and that it won't actually be addressed until it's too late. So the treaty is asking for all the things that big meat does. It's asking to reverse those. So reverse deforestation, reverse the dirtying, if you will, of water and the extreme water use in animal agriculture, and then, of course, that emissions reduction.
Well, I think it's so encouraging to know that there's greater education and acceptance in this space, but do you think the latest efforts of the treaty will have an impact?
Well, it's interesting because, as we said, big governments are never the ones that really move the needle. And when you see this kind of effort get so much support, it's interesting to note what kind of food businesses in their own way, even though they haven't signed the treaty, in their own way are getting on board. So I look at another big meat-eating country, which would be Australia. 700 Domino's across Australia have committed to having Impossible beef as a permanent menu item. We've talked on this show that McDonald's throughout Europe, the UK, Holland, and other places is committed to a permanent Beyond Meat burger option. Panda Express in the US committed to a Beyond Meat option. Taco Bell just testing the Beyond Meat steak, which is out. How fun is that? And Denny's across Canada are committed to having plant-based options. So in their own way, these food companies are getting on board.
Elizabeth, I saw that headline regarding the Domino's pizzas in Australia over the weekend, so that is very encouraging. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Always great to be here. Have a great week.